Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Age 40 Years. My name is Greg, and today we are gonna do a bottle review of a store pick of a local store. But before we get started, of course, I'd ask you to please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video. I would appreciate that greatly. Today, a little bit different tone than normal. We've specifically selected a bottle because something that's near and dear on my heart. Today is Sunday, March 1st. And unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we lost somebody who was able to connect with through the bourbon community. So I have told you about Clyde's Spirits and Wines. That is one of the places the place I almost exclusively shop. They're very good to me. Tina, Scott, Chuck, they treat me very well. They're nice, they're friendly, great people, building a great community. And unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we lost one of them. So I'm not going to divulge last names, but for the longest time, I would go in there and I talked to Chuck, I talked to Scott, and I talked to Tina independently. What I didn't realize until just recently, a couple months ago, honestly, was that Scott and Tina were married. And they never acted like a married couple. They're just very professional. You would never know it just meeting them. But they were telling me a story about some stuff they were dealing with, and how when Tina got home, Scott was complaining to her. I said, "Home? What do you mean home?" She said, "Well, Scott and I are married." I said, "That's what are you talking about? I didn't know that. That's crazy." So anyway, a little fun little nugget, but just amazing people. They build an excellent community of folks. They treat people right. They do everything right. And unfortunately, back on Valentine's Day, Scott had a cardiac event that then ultimately took his life on the Sunday the 15th. And I learned about this. I've stopped in and talked with him. And I think for me, one of the best things I can do is talk about them, talk about the people that you meet, talk about the community, talk about the experiences you have. And a lot of people might not watch this. This is a unique bottle. It's a Penelope Project X. It's a special barrel. I've not seen these around, but this is a barrel picked by Clyde's Spirits and Fine Wines. You can see it right there in Lexington, South Carolina. Fantastic store, fantastic people. Our heart certainly aches for Tina and Chuck as they deal with the loss of Scott. So that being said, we're going to get back to doing what we do best, which is talking about and reviewing whiskey. What I will say, though, is as I've gotten to know that crew, which they are a great crew to know, they have a great palate. Some of the barrel picks they've done, some of the tastings they've done are just fantastic. And so I thought, what better way to pay a little bit of tribute to Scott than to review one of their bottles, something that I'm sure he enjoyed. I know they've sold a lot of, and to me, just an elegant, fantastic looking bottle. So, cheers to you, Scott. Cheers to you, Tina. Tina, we're thinking about you. Chuck, we're thinking about you. And Scott, we remember you for sure. So, let's get on with the tasting. So, this is a Penelope product. As you can see at the bottom, Penelope. This is a rye, straight rye whiskey finished in a maple brulee cask. This is barrel number 2415-1, 114 proof, 57% alcohol by volume. Shout out to Penelope for sticking with 750 milliliters. I just polished off recently a Heaven Hill grain glass. Forgot that those bottles are 700 milliliters. They don't look like it. Well, they kind of look like it, but they disguise it well. This was finishing cask origin was from Quebec, if you will, selected by Brulee Your Mind. Don't know who that is. Shout out to them, Brulee Your Mind. And then, of course, got the Clyde's Spirits and Fine Wines, Lexington, South Carolina sticker on there. Project X is about pushing boundaries, taking risks, and putting innovation above all else. Now, I don't know what the trend is here with bottles I buy from Clyde's, but they're hidden bottles. You can barely see through it if you really put it up to some light. Mine's probably like right here. Okay, so still a good bit in there. It's not a neck pour. It's also not the very end of the bottle. Also, by the way, got a new lighting situation. I was watching some YouTube videos and people were like, the last thing you should have is a ring light. Well, if you've watched my videos, you've seen the light in my eyes. You've seen the light in the window. I had a ring light. So I've changed to a LED panel light that has some diffusion in it. Now, I have no idea how this is going to look, so we'll see how it looks. But just trying to do a few things to make things a little bit more presentable. My friend Phil also sent me a microphone a little while ago that I've been using. That's certainly helped on the audio. And I've noticed that the lighting, particularly in my last blind, looked a little suspect. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get on with the tasting. Start with the nose. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to roll this. You know, the funny thing about Scott was when I'd go in to the store, he would almost always, unless he had customers inside, of course, but he'd almost always be sitting outside in a camping chair, just hanging out, and always had something to say to me. Hey, Greg, welcoming me. I remember that fondly. Such a nice guy. You know, it's unfortunate because he just great customer service, great attitude. Now on the nose, for being finished in a maple brulee cask, the nose is just very rye. A little bit of peppery. There's some sweetness there that you wouldn't normally get. But that nose to me, well, you know what? I'm getting like a little pancake smell. Like a maple pancake smell. But with that rye, a little bit of rye. Now I'm not getting like that spearmint forward smell that you normally get in like a just straight up rye. The finishing helps kind of mellow that out, I think. But, you know, overall, rye with like a little bit of maple syrup pancake. It's really nice. Let's go ahead and test it. No, I will say, before we get into this, look, I love the people at Clyde's. They're great people. But before we get into this, they have a great palate. Oh, one of the best palates there is Tina. I mean, Scott's wife, Tina, has one of the best palates, but so does Chuck. I mean, Chuck can kill a palate. I mean, he's got great referrals. He's turned me on to a lot of things. Hell, he last time I was in there, he was telling a guy about something to take if you have a cold. Now, I don't know that that's founded in science, but whatever. What is founded in science anymore these days? Seems like nothing based on the world we live in, but this is good. Pancakes and rye. Rye pancakes. Delicious. All right, let's try it. Yeah, that palate's fantastic. Whoever picked that. Interesting finish. The finish is really sweet. Like really sweet. That's where you get that maple syrup and that maple brulee. That creme brulee maple. That's really prominent on that finish. Now, palate wise, it's a little bit more traditional. It's a little bit more bitey, but good. Is bitey an approved term? I mean, just bam, brown sugar, syrup. Man, that's good. Wow, that's fantastic. I don't know where the rye goes, but I think the rye is what keeps it like still in your face. If it didn't have the rye, if this was just a maple brulee cask finished bourbon, I think it'd just be a little too much sweetness. The rye keeps it nice and punchy, but at the same time sweet. That finish is fantastic. The proof point on it, 114, perfect. You know, it pulls through on the sweetness. It also really delivers on a very strong, this like the palate is excellent, but not overwhelming. You get a nice progression, you know, maybe it's a maple thing to me, but up there, I have done a previous video that was the maple spirals from 13th Colony. That progression from nose to finish was fantastic. Now that one's a bourbon, this is a rye. And that one's one of the best, like just progression of flavors. And I guess it's maybe the maple that I really like, but the way that moves from your nose to your palate to your finish is terrific. I will say there's a little bit of like acidy reflux on the back end. I don't know what's up with that. That could just be me. Had a long weekend on soccer fields and eating bad. I had a hot chicken from Zaxby's today. Fantastic. Not sponsored by Zaxby's. I'd love it if I was, but had their hot chicken tenders. Whew, Nashville hot chicken. Those were excellent. But that might be where the little bit of resurgence is coming from. Anyway, I think that this is a fantastic pour. If I I know that they're running through this stuff. So if you're watching this and you're close to Columbia, South Carolina, it might be gone. I think they had just a handful of bottles left. I mean, minimum 8 on my scale, probably an 8.2 if I had to guess. Reason being that it's not higher is that I think the nose is a little disconnected and the finish is a little potent in the sense that like it's not the good hug sticking around chewy potent. It's a little bit of a, hey, by the way, I'm a rye and I'm 114 proof. That's fine. Don't mind that. But 8.2, right? So not an 8.5, but definitely not a 7, definitely not a 6.5. This thing is a buy, back it up. This thing is a high value. I think this was a $80 bottle, $70, $80. But highly recommended by the Clyde's team. And, excuse me, God, I just have a bad habit of that on this. Something about drinking bourbon makes me get a little feedback. But anyway, yeah, fantastic bottle. Couldn't recommend it more. What I would say is if you don't like that sweetness of like the maple, if you just want a rye and you're out finding this Project X, I'm sure that there's other versions of this very similar out on the market. My suggestion is if you don't like that rye punchiness mixed with the sweetness of the maple brulee, maybe not for you, but for me, I find that combination to be really attractive, very nice. And hey, I think 8.2 is a nice settling point. Um, you know, again, I go back to the beginning of this video. Just want to bring back to the forefront why we're making this one in particular is this is about community. This is about connecting and thinking about the folks that you talk to every day. This is about the clerk in the store. This is about the distributor that's bringing the product. This is about the people who are making it. This is about the people who are watching you. It's about the people who are making the content, me. And really it's about just connecting. And one of the things that I really am going to miss about Scott was that he always was connecting, always connecting. Every time I'd go in, he's had great things to say. He watched a video. He had a bottle he wanted to tell me about. Just so much good interaction, such a good person that unfortunately we lost. So, as always, I want to remind you, please drink responsibly. Please stop by Clyde's if you're in Columbia or Lexington, South Carolina. And as always, I would normally say cheers, but a toast to Scott. Scott, cheers. We're thinking about you, buddy.